Hello guys, it's Sparky here, and we are playing a game called Dear Ishvar. Now it is not quite your normal first person game. It's not quite like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Team Fortress or Counter-Strike or anything of the like. In fact, it's more or less like a journey on a realistic island made by the Source engine, which made, you know, fantastic games like Half-Life and Left 4 Dead, you know, those kind of games, in Counter-Strike. Well, with this game, it's quite poetic, in a way. Now, if you're one of those guys who play, like, Call of Duty and Battlefield, like myself, you're probably thinking, what the hell? Why am I watching this? I'll tell you why I'm watching this, because it's quite immersive. It's beautiful and poetic, and if you're British, I guess you could understand. If you're American, you might have a question mark above your head, I'm not so sure. But, I quite like it. It's mysterious. You're trying to figure out what's going on the island. And I guess we're just going to get straight into it. This little narrator kind of guy, he talks from a journal. He's reading a diary about who was written by somebody talking about somebody on the island. But you're also trying to figure out what's going on. So let's find out. Right, we start from level 1. Yes.
Dear Esther, I sometimes feel as if I've given birth to this island. Somewhere between the longitude and latitude, a split opened up, and it beached remotely here. No matter how hard I correlate, it remains a singularity, an alpha point in my life that refuses all hypothesis. I return each time leaving fresh markers that I hope, in the full glare of my hopelessness, will have blossomed into fresh insight in the interim.
Okay, so you can see, what I'm trying to show you is the graphics and the pure work that's gone into this sort of game. Was that lightning then? Did I just see lightning? Into this, it is spooky. I'm getting a bit freaked out now. It reminds me of Amnesia. So it's a lighthouse. You can hear the wind. You can even see the wind occasionally. And as you'll notice, there's lots of tubs of paint and some sort of science thing written on the walls there, chemistry and all that. So this is using the maximum power of the Source engine. I'm only actually recording this at half the byte size. So as you can see, lots of paints in here. Okay, we're gonna go up this cliff. Let's have a look at the ocean there. I mean, as you can see, I mean, most gamers always talk about map sizes and things. I mean, this is huge. I mean, look at it. It is huge. Every time this narrator goes to speak, I will shut up. I will try to. So you can listen and try and find out what's going on in the island. Oh, no, you don't. There we go. So you're probably thinking, what's the objective of this game?
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
In some texts like that, you will notice a reference, and sometimes it doesn't always make sense until later on. Sometimes the text appears to what's happening in the place you're in, or what had happened in the place you're in. I mean, look at the stunning beauty of this rock face. It is just wow, you know. You do get a sense of spookiness. I mean, it's really detailed.
There was once talk of a wind farm out here, away from the rage and the intolerance of the masses. The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbines to stand. They clearly never came here to experience the becalming for themselves. Personally, I would have supported it. Turbines would be a fitting contemporary refuge for a hermit. The revolution and the permanence.
So basically what he's saying there, the hermit, the crab. You know, crabs that came onto his island that weren't here before, but somehow got here. He's saying that the wind farm would have been a suitable candidate for the hermit's inhabitants, because wind farms are built in the sea, some of them, and underneath provides, basically, it harbours lots of life, lots of different vibrant life.
Afternoon sunlight. He landed on the south side of the island, followed the path to the bay and climbed the mount. He did not find the caves, and he did not chart the north side. I think this is why his understanding of the island is flawed, incomplete. He stood on the mount and only wondered momentarily how to descend, but then he didn't have my reasons.
So yes, the lighthouse is just over there. You really do take a journey in this game. The objective of the game, I would like to think, is get into that. You could be so close.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boat, and know to send aid, or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
So it's talking about some infection. So what's going on this island, I wonder? Is it a Left 4 Dead style? I don't know.
I quote directly. A motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most godforsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
Well, we'll find out, maybe, won't we? So that's the lighthouse. We have a ship here. I would love to go grab the little boat, sail off sort of job. But for now, we're going to have to explore this cave.
Dear Esther.
Damn.
I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
He's probably thinking, why?
I find myself increasingly unable to find that point where the hermit ends and Paul and I begin. We are woven into a sodden blanket, stuffed into the bottom of a boat to stop the leak and hold back the ocean. My neck aches from staring up at the aerial. It mirrors the dull throb in my gut where I am sure I've begun to form another stone. In my dreams, it forms into a perfect representation of Lot's wife, head over her shoulder, staring along the motorway at the approaching traffic in a vacuum of fatalistic calm.
So it seems someone's sleeping in here, and they've been painting again in this cave. I think RPG game makers could learn a lot from this cave design. I mean, look at it. This isn't even the best one. This is nothing. I've even print screened some pictures from some really beautiful places in this game. And put them as an album for my desktop, so every 3 minutes they change picture, and it's just superb. And when I turn the lights out, you just see my desktop showing. It just lights up the whole room in that sort of cave-like thing, but with different colours. It's beautiful. Yeah, you're probably thinking, why aren't you running? Hurry this up. Well, if there's a run key, I've yet to find out. I don't know where there is one. I've pushed all sorts. There's no jump key or anything. If there's not a jump key, I'm sure there's not a run key. but you do need a bit of patience to play this. And I think a lot of the dialogue that comes up is it changes each time you play, and most of it's the same. So as you can see, it's quite a realistic island. It's very beautiful. We've gone right round, can you believe it? You sort of look back to where you started and you think, wow, it's a long way. Yes, it is. Water. Now that is some fantastic water. I tell you what would make this all look more realistic.
The vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that. It is all sick to death. The water is too polluted for the fish, the sky is too thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds. I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer, that we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and ribcage, with enough left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
What would make this so much more realistic and lifelike is if you use photorealism. So take natural photographs of like stones and such like this. That could be a photograph. And then using DirectX 11 to make it stand out, because if you look, it's more or less 2D, isn't it? So if you use DirectX 11, it sort of looks like it's popping out as much as that rock actually is. So there's a book here. It's a chemistry book and a Bible. I think it's a Bible. I'm not sure. Some more symbols. We're near the lighthouse. We're so, as I was saying, we're so close. Yet, no, we are so near, yet so far. In other words, we're close to where we need to be, but we've got a long way before we can get there. Okay guys, this is episode 1. Believe me, the further you go, the better it gets. Stay tuned for more. Give me some comments. Anything you would like me to talk about, want me to give you a shout in the YouTube video, let me know. So thanks for watching. Ooh, sedimentary rock, look at that. Tell me what you think of the poetry. Thanks for watching guys, check in soon.